great athlete, great wrestler. She's a good person, good-hearted person. I think it was just a meeting in the wind or something with us. I don't know what it was, but it was nice while it lasted, but it wasn't meant to be. It was fun getting to know her. I didn't really know her up until I met her in Philadelphia at Good Heart shows, and we done a mixed tag together, and from there we kind of were together from there on. And but she's really a good person. I think she deserves getting out of the business what she can, and she deserves to be make as much money and be as successful as she can. I'm really proud she got this shot with WWF too.
And whatever happened with that debacle with that kid Gordon Scasari up in somewhere in New England, an AWF thing where you were supposed to be the booker?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was another weird story too. But it was very short, and I was supposed to go up there for the deal, and the whole thing was that he sent me a plane ticket from that. The plane ticket I got, one of these cheap deals, and you know what I'm talking about, that was from Dallas. It was from Atlanta to where it's Massachusetts, where we was going, and it wasn't from Dallas. And I was in Dallas on Friday night. I couldn't get. I took this ticket of his, wanted to try to change it, couldn't do it. Couldn't get there. Called the first night that I couldn't get there. I called on the Saturday night late. I was on a hookup with Gordon and this other guy that was doing. He got all the cameras together and the lighting together. I can't remember his name right now, but he was the one that set it up between me and Gordon. He was on the phone too. I told him that I would fax them. I had already faxed them the TVs I had laid out, but they had said they hadn't got them, which I knew that I had faxed them to them. Then I went in and faxed them to the hotel that night. Told them to call me the next morning, like on a Sunday morning. Had already missed the Saturday night. I said, prepay me a ticket on Sunday. I'll be there and clear all this up. I don't understand what the deal is with the ticket anyway, why you couldn't get it from Atlanta. I never heard from him again after that night. And I knew then that they had already talked about so many different people. Already said they'd do it. And 4 or 5 different people went up booking this show and all this kind of deal. And so everything got really just messed up on the thing. And it was just actually Gordon really not knowing what he's doing in the first place. And I was in Dallas, booking Dallas at the Global thing, and Jeff Gaylord shows up wanting a job. And I remember I'd done wrestle Doug in a match, and I was bleeding, I was tired, I was in the dressing room. I remember sitting like this here. Joe Pescino was across from me, the Johnson guy, that's the announcer.
Oh, yeah.
Craig Johnson, and John Horton, real name. So Bonnie Blackstone's in the room, and I'm sitting there just with my head down going, because we done 2 tapings that night, and it was the last match, and I'd done laid out all the finishes, done the match, everything up to the end. I was very tired, drained, sitting there. I saw Jeff Gaylord walking past and forth through the front of the room outside the entrance, and I looked out and said, what do you need? He said, I need to talk to you a minute. So I went outside, talked to him. He was exchanging stuff back and forth with me about wanting to come to work. I said, okay. I said, and I started walking with him through the sportatorium dressing room. It's like a little maze through there. It's like 3 different rooms and stuff. We go from one room to another. And I remember asking him, I said, you got one of my business cards. You got my number. Because he'd been calling Scandal or Akbar for a job. And Akbar never told me the messages that he wanted to work on a Friday night or anything. And I said, do you have my home number? And he says, no, I don't. So Barry Horowitz, I remember, saying, Barry, will you run out to the car and get my business card? He said, sure. I gave him the keys. He runs out through the maze that I just come walking through to get the cards. So Jeff Gaylord and I go walking back through the maze once again back towards the front office room where I'd left, where I'd been with Joe Pescino. And I had got in front of Jeff going through the dressing rooms. And I remember going through one of the dressing rooms open, and all of a sudden I felt this like battering at the back of my head, just punches. I didn't really know what was going on. I just all of a sudden felt these punches. I remember turning around, I didn't even know who it was. That's how baffled I was. I turned around, I had my arm up trying to block the punches to see who it was, and I saw his Gaylord. And I couldn't figure out what this guy, why would Jeff Gaylord first off be at me? Why would he wait till I turned my back, this big why wouldn't he just say, I want to kick your ass or something? Fight me. Don't just, sucker punch. That happens every day and it's easy. But I turned around and I was on my feet. I had my arm up. I was trying to block it. The next thing I hear was, you SOB. And Doug came charging across in front of me, and I remember hearing this crack of glass busting. And I looked up, and it was like Cactus Jack deal. Doug had took a Pepsi bottle and hit Gaylord right in the head with it, and just busted, and Gaylord started bleeding and turned, and he ran out of the sportatorium. He jumped in his car through gravel. Doug chased him out, and I remember walking into the casino and everyone at first thought it was a wrestling angle because I was always doing goofy stuff, so they just thought I was doing an angle at first, and no one really thought I was serious. And I stood there a minute because I mean, the punches were enough that the first time I ever been lightheaded from punches. And Doug came back in and told me what happened. And then we found out Gordon Scazzari sent Gordon $1,000. Chris Cruz called me, and Gordon Scazzari telling him that yes, he paid Jeff Gaylord to come and do the number on me, whatever he's supposed to do. I always thought, and all of us laughed later, a lot of the wrestlers and everything said that Gaylord was so stupid he should have come to me and said, hey, I'll give you $500 if you were just, act like it, or tell him that I played you up 2 weeks or something. But Gaylord didn't know he's burnt out in the head, so he didn't know, and then so I went home, and I still, it was a shock to me because I never thought, first I thought I was past anything like that. I never thought, then I got to thinking, man, just how crazy this business is. I thought, wow, at least I'm getting to make sure I feel every aspect of it. Now I've been jumped. Went through the John Tatum stuff, everything, never a fight. Then I'll get jumped by Jeff Gaylord. And so I remember getting home, and Medusa and I were together, married, living together. And I remember getting real mad about this thing, and she was going to, I think, Boston or somewhere up there to work. And she knew that he'd be at the show, and she told me, she said, I'll get him. And she did. She called him over to talk to him. All stories I've heard is that there were some friends of his out there. She said she wanted to see him to talk to him, like she's going to be real nice, and then she got him over there and gave him 2 or 3 kicks or something and knocked him out or something. So I was real proud of that when I heard about it. I was real happy. So I figured everything got pretty well. And I worked with Jeff Gaylord here, and Jeff's just, whatever.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to ask you about is Sabu. Why is it taking him so in this country? Why guys don't, how come everybody hasn't jumped on him to try and hire him? I mean, I thought for sure for you, he'd have been the perfect guy.
Well, he's got his Japan thing first.
Yeah.
I think the guys make it as complicated as they want to make it. What I mean is making it in the business and making problems. He's not making any problems. He's a great guy, and I like him a lot. And I think he's a great. I think he's the Cactus Jack, and we don't have the shows. Yeah. That's what it is. If you look, the things aren't going on. If all these, as far as them getting the ECW thing, but before that, I had made mention about Sabu at ECW, and remember, you got to have the owner going along with you and everything. Maybe Paul made the different pitch at a different time. We couldn't get him at the time I wanted to because I thought that'd be a perfect opponent for me after Funk. And I finished. And I thought that'd be fun, especially with the Fire. I wanted to bring the Sheik into it and bring Funk back as my partner and everything. Never got to do that stuff. And Sabu is a great, great talent. I think that when he wants to come, see, the loyalty thing plays a big part again. He's being loyal to Onita. He hasn't went over, he's had his tryout for WCW. Whatever to do. I don't know about WWF or what. I can't remember right now, the hearsay or whatever. And his stuff with ECW, I knew he wanted to make a commitment with them because of Japan. So I think it's up to him. When he really wants to make it, he will. He's got his uncle there, a very, very smart man, knows how to play hard to get. And I think that's one of the best mind games you play in this business, play hard to get.
Okay. You got it. Funny, you got about an hour and 50. That's great.
I'm just thinking of old stories here. Ooh, Lord.
Yeah, I know. It's like watching Memphis TV. Got the commercials.
Yeah.
They said, well, something about Eddie and he gives his ideas, stuff, and then he said, they go, well,
Please, touching it. He's moving. Always moving.
And he was saying, where did you hear that, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, they go, well, we heard from Brian Hilbert. And he goes, no, we heard that Eddie and Deborah wanted to start coming out anyway, so,